The other part that we saw both in Yugoslavia and many of the places that you've covered is the identifying of internal and external enemies.
Right.
In many ways we have that here, and we're
Right.
seeing the increased policing both of the borders against immigrants and on our streets now tanks being brought to quell local disturbances like in Ferguson, Missouri. We have wars abroad, of course. Connect those if you can for us, and what does that give in the way of challenge to progressive movement?
You know, the traditional collapse of empire, and that's any empire, I mean, from the Roman Empire to, you know, the Austro-Hungarian, whatever it is. The traditional collapse of empire is that, of course, it expands beyond its capacity to sustain itself, which we've already done. And as somebody who spent many years, 2 decades, on the outer reaches of empire, in places like Iraq and Gaza, I saw the mechanisms of control that empire uses, the very brutal forms of violence to sustain itself. And what happens is that empires hollow themselves out from the inside, which we've done. I mean, drive across this country, look at our infrastructure, look at, you know, city after city. Empires also, by the way, destroy their cities first. So, you know, whether you're going through Cleveland, Detroit, you know, it's endless. You just, you know, boarded up warehouse out Trenton, I mean, and what happens is then, as you disintegrate your economic viability, you don't invest in your infrastructure, you take surplus labor, and especially poor people of color, and lock them in cages, 25% of the world's population, who don't generate money off the streets, but generate money for corporations, $40,000 or $50,000 a year when they're incarcerated.
The one type of slavery we never made illegal in this country.
It's neo-slavery, because of course they earn $1 a day under the 13th Amendment. So what happens is then you begin to have to cope with a restive population, and all of the harsh mechanisms of control on the outer reaches of empire migrate back to the center of empire. So you get drones, you get militarized police forces. I mean, a night raid in Oakland, California, on a nonviolent drug offense for a warrant, looks no different than a night raid in Fallujah. You have guys dressed in black, long-barreled weapons, command and control centers, sometimes helicopters with searchlights, kicking down doors. It's exactly the same. And that's what happens. And Thucydides wrote about it, actually, when after Pericles' death, and the inability to stop the Athenian state from expanding its own empire, that the tyranny, Thucydides wrote, that you impose on others, finally you impose on itself. And that's very much the process that's underway in the United States.